Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him that he fired, right?
Correct.
This isn't right. This is unconstitutional.
We shouldn't be told that we're going to lose our jobs.
Someone's ability to choose whether or not they need to be vaccinated.
We should be avoiding any unnecessary travel. Anyone visiting during the holidays are vaccinated. And when in doubt, get tested.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right. Welcome in. News and Views for a Tuesday. Got a good program lined up for you. Yesterday we talked about this story with the UNC Board of Trustees and how there was a motion put before the Board of Trustees which did not succeed. It was put forth by Marty Kotis. The motion was very simple. The university shall not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to an individual, group, or company on the basis of race, sex, color, or ethnicity. And this was voted down, and Marty Kotis is now being vilified as some sort of a racist because he proposed this anti-racist motion before the board. We're going to be talking to Marty at about 5:20 on this whole issue. It is mind-boggling that he is being treated this way. It's mind-boggling that they did not say. That makes perfect sense. Let's go ahead and approve that motion.
Yeah, since when, if you're against discrimination, you're being called a racist? I mean,
welcome to CRT world.
Yeah, that's it.
News and Observer's reporting a North Carolina judge could order the state tomorrow to turn over $1.7 billion to increase funding for public education. This is the Leandro case. The plaintiffs in the long-running Leandro, school funding court battle have proposed requiring the state budget director, state controller, and state treasurer to turn over $1.7 billion. I don't think our state treasurer is going to do that. I just have a hunch he is not going to sign that check. State Superior Court Judge David Lee, a Dem, of course, has scheduled a court hearing in Raleigh on Wednesday to consider a proposal. This court cannot permit the state to continue failing to effectuate the right of a sound basic education guaranteed to the people of North Carolina. Well, who's deciding that they're not? Who made him the arbiter that saying, well, they're not getting a sound education? And again, the Supreme Court has ruled on this, and their ruling is the state Supreme Court has ruled that it is the legislature that holds the purse strings, not the governor and not the judicial branch.
And not the attorney general.
And the attorney general is getting a slap down from Republicans anyway. This guy is Josh Stein. Apparently, he hasn't read the rule book. He is not the personal attorney for Roy Cooper. But our attorney general apparently thinks that. A.G. Stein tosses 200 years of legal precedent as he endorses lawless maneuvering to enact Governor Roy Cooper's preferred budget plan via court order, reads a sub-headline in a news release today from Senator Deanna Ballard from Watauga County. Ballard chairs the Senate's High Education Committee. Tomorrow, Judge David Lee will violate the state constitution and 200 years of legal precedent by ordering the executive branch to withdraw $1.7 billion from the state treasury over the objections of the legislature. According to the release, it references a Wednesday afternoon hearing scheduled in front of Lee, the retired Union County judge who oversees the proceedings on this Leandro case. Attorney Josh Stein's defense against the lawlessness was to claim the words of the Constitution from 1868, the people have a right to the privilege of education, are actually a specific appropriation of funds in the year 2021. Ballard's news release continues. Ballard is basically just accusing Stein of malfeasance as far as his role as an attorney general and defending the Constitution and defending the legislature. And he's not going to put up any fight against this because this is what his boss, Roy Cooper, wants.
Well, Senator Ballard's right, and we've talked about on this show on a number of issues. I mean, Josh Stein continues He was elected to be Attorney General, and he continues basically to represent the Democrat Party. And from day one, he has been running for governor since he's been Attorney General. On another topic, I don't know if you saw it, he was down in New Bern today, sounding not like an Attorney General, but like a governor, announcing money that he was spending in New Bern, Kinston, various places in North Carolina. That
he was spending. Thank you for writing your personal check
for
there, Josh.
Environmental justice, to fight the climate change and what climate change has done for environmental injustices.
Wow.
I mean, he's the Attorney General, supposed to be representing the North Carolina residents and voters against frivolous lawsuits, but he's out running for governor.
And what they're doing is they're creating, not frivolous lawsuits, they'll be creating pretty important lawsuits because of the ridiculous things that the libs are doing in the name of climate change and racism, anything in the woke column. You got to hand it to them. They're very creative in the things that they produce. In fact, Exhibit A, this is Cut 1, Clark. Exhibit A for how, we talked about this briefly yesterday, for how the Democrats creatively come up with these accusations against anything that the United States has stood for, as Western civilization has stood for. Pete Buttigieg, yesterday, we talked about this briefly, but yesterday he was asked by the gal over, April Ryan, over at NPR, can you give us the construct of how you will deconstruct the racism that was built into roadways? Can you talk to us about how could this be deconstructed? So if you didn't know this, according to the Dems, according to NPR, according to April Ryan, according to Pete Buttigieg and his ilk, our highways are racist. This is what Pete Buttigieg said to the question, can you give us the construct of how you will deconstruct the racism that is built into roadways?
I'm still surprised that some people were surprised when I pointed to the fact that if a highway was built for the purpose of dividing a white and a black neighborhood, or if an underpass was constructed such that a bus carrying mostly black and Puerto Rican kids to a beach, or there would have been, in New York was designed too low for it to pass by, that obviously reflects racism that went into those design choices. I don't think we have anything to lose by confronting that simple reality, and I think we have everything to gain by acknowledging it and then dealing with it, which is why the Reconnecting Communities, that $1 billion, is something we want to get to work right away.
No, I do not acknowledge it. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So, and first of all, he didn't have any specifics and he didn't have any evidence. But what he is saying is there are certain roadways that buses, the bridges are so low that buses can't pass underneath them. And so therefore the little Puerto Rican and black children couldn't go to the beach.
And it was obvious. He said it was obvious that they were designed that way. I mean, hey, this is evidence number one for my friends that I try to convince you that Pete Buttigieg had zero capabilities in anything to be in this position. I rest my case with him saying that. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it is. All agreed. And if there's any normal thinking liberals out there, and I know that's a oxymoron, but if they're out there, you would have recognized how ridiculous the statement is. But the bottom line is the Pete Buttigiegs of the world don't care. They're perfectly happy with making this stuff up, strutting around like, oh, aren't we insightful? Because it's not racism. They could care less about little black children or Puerto Rican children not being able to get to the beach. That's not the issue. The issue is we want to vilify America. We want to label anybody that's conservative, anybody that would be against redoing a multi-million-dollar bridge because little black children or Puerto Rican children can't get to the beach on a school bus. We want to vilify them, and we want to destroy this country. We want to bankrupt the country. That's why did we want to give $450,000 away to each illegal that was, separated from a child at the border? Why are we bringing all these illegals in? Why are we just ushering them in and flying them into cities? Because the left wants to destroy the United States, our way of life. They want to usher in hope and change. Their hope and change is communism. And, I used to say socialism. No, it's pure communism, pure Marxism. Marxism is probably a better word because it really, truly is. They are truly following the Marxist plan right now as they introduce this.
Absolutely.
The idea that we're going to cripple the United States, we're going to vilify anybody that believes in America and the American values and biblical values. We're going to annihilate them.
And you know what bothers me most in that situation, him saying that, I mean, in a constitutional republic, it requires an informed electorate, an educated electorate, and a news media that holds elected officials accountable. And the fact that you didn't have multiple reporters in that room raising their hands and saying,
what the heck are you talking about?
Excuse me, what the heck did you just say?
Yep.
You actually think the architects and the engineers and the Department of Transportations planned those bridges to be low so black people and Puerto Rican people couldn't get to the beach?
That's why
you
they're
have
designed.
got to be freaking kidding me.
That's why
and
they're
no
designed.
one said anything.
No. Well, that we heard. And
I listened to the press conference. No one challenged it.
it is mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling.
It is.
Never let a good crisis go to waste. In this case, never let a good man-made crisis to totally screw up our rule of law. Let's just ignore the third branch of government. Yesterday, this is from CNBC, yesterday the White House said businesses should move forward with Joe Biden's vaccine and testing requirements for private businesses despite a federal appeals court ordering a temporary halt to the rules. This is unbelievable. People should not wait, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters during a briefing they should continue to move forward and make sure they're getting their workplace vaccinated. So the Biden White House, now they've officially come out and said, hey, reverse this decision. Based on what? I don't know, but they're just saying, hey, Fifth Circuit Court, we want you to reverse this decision. So the Fifth Circuit Court said, we're going to put a stay on the Biden mandate concerning private businesses of 100 people or more as of January 4th, having to get them vaccinated or weekly testing. And now the Biden administration said, well, it doesn't start to January 4th. Well, yeah, but the process is having to begin now if you're going to go forward with this mandate. The Fifth Circuit said, nope, we're going to put a stay on that. And businesses do not have to follow that. And the Biden White House said, screw them.
Yeah. Just like, I mean, they just throw the Constitution to the wind.
Yeah.
They throw the process to the wind. And I'm having a problem understanding. I mean, this is the same White House. The entire administration talked about just a few months ago. No, we don't mandate vaccinations on people in the United States. That's just not what we do. And this is an about face on not only on that policy, but saying not only do we do that, we also throw our finger up to the court system, our balance of power in this country.
Three branches.
It doesn't matter what we say goes.
Yes. Three equal branches of government, and they are basically now. Listen, when they controlled the courts, it was all about this is the rule of law. You got to follow it. Roe v. Wade's been established. You can't move away from that at all. But now, and it started with Obama. Hey, I've got a pen and a phone. I can bypass Congress.
Yep.
So your three branches of government: your judicial, your legislative, and your executive. And right now, Biden is trying to do what Obama did and just say, screw it. We're in charge. We've got the White House, and therefore, and we've said the emperor. We've accused both Obama and Biden of being the emperor, and this proves it.
Well, bottom line, I mean, this is an important issue, but it's going to be a bigger issue later. You either have individual rights, you have the rule of law, or you don't. Plain and simple.
Well, this is anarchy. If there is not significant pushback and fight back, and listen, the other thing is These people have got to be held responsible. I have said this for years and years. When Republicans get back in charge, they really need to hold these people to task. These people, when they ignore our rule of law, they need to be punished for breaking the law, because that's exactly what they're doing. And listen, this makes embezzlement look like penny ante stuff. You're destroying our entire rule of government, our Constitution. It's unbelievable. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And we're on location at one of my favorite places in the whole planet, because this is some of the best food you're ever going to eat in your life. We are at Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. It's one of my hangouts. It's one of the places that I love. I got my friend Pietro Pasalacqua. How'd I do?
You did great.
Let's talk about the food. What makes this place? I know it's special Italian from authentic Italians, but tell us why it's so special.
Because everything we do, it's really what we came up on the menu from what we did at home, from my grandparents, my parents. So it's exactly what we eat at home, and that's what the way we cook. That's why it's special.
And the atmosphere in this place is special also. From the bar to the two dining areas. You got two different dining areas, and now the weather's nice, so there's going to be a lot of folks that want to eat outside.
Yeah, we have two rooms. One room is designed a little different. We're also working on the patio to make it more attractive and more useful in the summer with a cocktail service. And we're always improving our services.
And, of course, my friends here, my buddy, Chef Massimo, who I love, and Sal and Pietro, you guys do a great job here. Not just Italian, but I had a great pork chop here the other night. You got great steaks, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're also adding filet mignon in the future on our menu. And Massimo is coming out with a really good side dishes for it. And so we're really excited to come out with new meats and fish dishes.
All right, Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. Same people that give you Marabella's and the great pizza that you get at Marabella's, but this is fine dining at Nino's. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing. Come see them at Nino's on Red Banks Road. And Pietro, what is that famous saying about Nino's?
The food that you enjoy with people that you love.
Hi, I'm Richard Langley, and after helping my grandmother with an iPad she received as a gift, I realized how many other older adults may also have challenges with their own technology.
Happy Grandma specializes in helping with any tech issue you may be experiencing. Whether it's setting up a new computer or TV, having issues with the printer or Wi-Fi, or showing you how to use your tech, we want to help you. To make it easier, we come directly to you with a smile on our face.
When tech gets tough.
When tech gets tough.
When tech gets tough.
When tech gets tough, get happy.
Happy Grandma Senior Tech Support.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina, Southern Living's best small town.
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in News and Views, 523, Tom and Benny. Marty Kotis serves on the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill Board of Trustees. He's previously served on the Board of Governors for the university system. On Thursday of last week, he offered a motion that most people would think is fair, reasonable, equitable, common sense. The motion, I'll read it here, quote, "The university shall not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to an individual, group, or company on the basis of race, sex, color, or ethnicity." Pretty common sense proposal. I think most people would say applaud that. And yet, Marty Kotis is being called in some circles a racist for bringing that motion up. By the way, the motion failed. Marty and one other board member voted for it, but the motion failed. Marty Kotis is on the telephone with us right now. Marty, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Since last Thursday, again, a common sense proposal, and the pushback has been rather surprising. Your thoughts?
Well, I found that what my role is, it seems like on the Board of Governors previously and the Board of Trustees now, is to voice opinions that others are often afraid to voice.
Yeah.
And talk about common sense items in a reasoned and reasonable way. When you see a lot of pushback to that, when people kind of call you a racist or jump out there, it's because they can't debate and discuss your argument. They have to quickly jump to the cancel culture type approach.
Yep.
And I've got pretty thick skin, so I intend to push past that and continue this discussion across the state.
Well, what's interesting about this, Marty, is this has been taken up the judicial ladder in other states, and inevitably, and as it's reached the Supreme Court once, I think it was the Michigan case, and the Supreme Court didn't knock away all preferential admission policies, but they did reel them in. But it's gone, and this was back when the Supreme Court was a little bit more slanted to the liberal side when they reeled in some of it. This is eventually going to get back to the Supreme Court, and I think you're going to have decisions like they had in the Hopwood versus the Texas decision back in the 90s, where the University of Texas, they just were told, no, these preferential treatment that you're putting on to some of the students looking for admission are unconstitutional. And yet, apparently UNC wants to ignore those kind of things.
Well, some of this could have been avoided earlier in the year if the legislatures, if the law that had been proposed in the legislature had passed and had been adopted by the governor. But, of course, we knew that wouldn't happen. In California in 96, they passed Proposition 209,
right,
which says the state can't discriminate in its hiring process, in its admissions, or in its contractor work. And then just last year, in November 2020, that was reinforced with 57% of Californians voting to keep that in place. So right now, Chapel Hill is more liberal than California.
That's hard to believe, but if you're familiar with Chapel Hill, yeah, it probably is more liberal than at least parts of California. Tell me about this. I'm sure you're familiar with it. The Students for Fair Admissions, they sued the university, and you have this judge that was appointed by Obama, Judge Loretta Biggs, and basically she basically mocked the group Students for Fair Admissions and just said the preferential policies can continue. Can you give us some background on that story?
I can't comment too much on that case because we're still in the middle of it with the university.
Okay.
But I was surprised by the dicta in the conclusion of that judgment that really didn't really address the Students for Fair Admissions case. It really jumped into labeling UNC as having a racist history and basically not doing enough for diversity. Which was surprising given the nature of the case that would be the conclusion reached.
I go back to your proposal, and it would seem to me that your motion would line up very well with these people who say we need to make sure that we no longer have any kind of discrimination, and yet they want to double down, and it's whose cow is getting gored, obviously.
Yeah, the new there's a bunch of newspeak out there, and the newspeak is overrepresented or underrepresented, which is really quota.
Right, right. Affirmative action.
And so when you say somebody's overrepresented, like Asian Americans, then you're saying, well, we have enough, we don't need more, and then that becomes discrimination if you're setting those standards out there. Or when you say underrepresented, and in order to reach more underrepresented applicants, you are reducing the standards, which was evident in a memo from Dean Susan King in the journalism school to Chancellor Guskowitz, where she says they're going to reduce their standards in order to reach more underrepresented groups. Diversity now has become the mantra for the university. That's the gold standard. You can imagine the university changing its name to Diversitas Omnis. Diversity is everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Marty, this is Benny. Looking at last week's Board of Trustees meeting, I know your motion, Tom, read it. It sounds pretty straightforward and pretty anti-discrimination to me. You and Allie Ray McCullen were the only ones that voted yes for your motion. I believe Mr. McCullen's from Sampson County. Am I correct? I think. Seems like that's right.
I believe so.
But some of the interesting comments from the other board members to me, one from the UNC Chapel Hill student body president, Lamar Richards, called your motion disrespectful. But I read an op-ed that he wrote for the North Carolina Policy Watch earlier this summer, and he made the comment, and this is coming from the student body president of the school: Carolina is not deserving of your talents, aspirations, or successes. If you are a student, staff member, or academic from a historically marginalized identity exploring UNC, I invite you to look elsewhere. Now, to me, that's pretty disrespectful from someone that is the UNC student body president.
Yeah, and if you didn't know his race, it would be considered totally inflammatory. I can't imagine anyone else being able to say to historically marginalized populations that they shouldn't come to Carolina and kind of getting away with it. I think it was irresponsible. It showed a lack of representation of the entire student body as well, and it was really effectively a big temper tantrum that he was throwing, because this was over the Nicole Hannah-Jones tenure issue,
right?
Which, I've asked if there was any discrimination involved in that. I wasn't on the board at that time, but if there was, hold those people accountable. But what I'm hearing back is no, there wasn't discrimination. It was simply a vetting process tied to her not having taught before. And because the Board of Trustees asked some questions and the dean did not want to wait for that process, she took a different route. And that's what led to this. And then, the student body president then is ready to kind of burn the place down and say no one should come there. That's a pretty extreme view, in my opinion.
Well, they want to eliminate merit, and they want to make sure that there's prejudice and there is wrongdoing if the outcome isn't what they want. It's not the process; it's the outcome, and it is totally frustrating. Let's get back to this Students for Fair Admission, and I realize there's certain things you can't say, but I'm connecting the dots here that this battle is not over. Is that correct?
Well, I think in the case with Harvard, they have appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has asked the Biden administration to weigh in, which frankly is probably just a delay tactic because they don't want to tackle every problem out there in one session.
Right.
So I would imagine, you're going to possibly have that heard. If that's heard, they may pull in the Chapel Hill and the Texas case as well. And we may get some clarity from the courts in this matter.
Well, has Students for Fair Admissions, have they appealed the decision by Judge Biggs?
I'm not aware that they have yet, but I would imagine they would.
Okay.
Given the background with Harvard.
What kind of response have you gotten personally since last Thursday when you made this proposal and suddenly you're being vilified?
Well, I'd say 99% of the people I know applauded me for it. The Blue NC, of course, labeled me a racist immediately. It's like they didn't even bother to read the article or explore my motion and what it meant. And it's a weird time when you would be labeled a racist for proposing
Thank you.
anti-discrimination efforts.
Yeah.
And I think overall People are ambivalent on it somewhat in terms of, coverage because the board did not pass the resolution, but I called for it. But really, I was just hoping to get a conversation started. I knew going in there were not the votes to pass that motion, but at least I was able to have it heard, and I appreciate the chair and the board for allowing that. They could have tabled the motion or adjourned early, so at least we did get to have some conversation about it.
Well, you started a conversation. I mean, we've been talking about it the last 2 days. I don't think the conversation is done. I think it's just getting started.
I think so, too. And it's an important conversation, and it's one that's uncomfortable, but it's something that needs to be addressed. And I think, some people have said I'm anti-diversity, and that's not at all the case. I believe in diversity. I'd like to encourage more. I'd also like to see some diversity of thought out there and opinions, and not just have indoctrinations. But you can do all of that without discriminating. You don't have to put your thumb on the scale for someone just because of the color of their skin or their gender. It's insulting in some ways to the people that you're discriminating in favor of, and those that got in without that. You're creating this environment where people start to label someone by a demographic characteristic, and then assume that maybe they got in with a lower standard.
Right.
And that really can backfire. It also can create a lot more tension between the genders and between the races. And I just think that's taking a step back. I thought we'd made a lot of progress, and now it feels like we're taking a step back.
Well, it goes back to the voter ID law, that you're saying that there's a certain demographic out there that doesn't have the ability to go out and get an ID, which that is so insulting. And it's along those same lines. You're saying, well, there's a certain demographic. If we don't help them, then they're not going to be able to do it. And that's just a false narrative.
Yeah, I think it really is. And again, it's almost demeaning to assume that if they didn't have that sort of help, that certain genders or races couldn't achieve at the same level.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. And then, two of the other commenters basically said, Trustee Artis Neal and the student body president both kind of weighed in on this and said, I was saying that there was discrimination occurring, or discrimination was occurring, and that those in those underrepresented classes were not as qualified. And they said that was a false statement, but that's not what I said in the meeting. And if that's not true, as they've claimed, then let's trot out the facts and review that and just really dig into it. I thought a blanket statement would just cover everything without having to unearth all of that, but maybe we just need to go in and dig a little deeper and shed more light on the process and let everybody understand exactly what's occurring and why.
Yeah, Marty, one of the things that I think is most disturbing to me out of the student body president, Mr. Richards went on to say, while Carolina desperately needs your representation and cultural contributions, it will only bring you here to tokenize and exploit you. And to those that will attempt to misconstrue these words, my words, understand this: I love Carolina, but I love my people and community more. And that's coming out of the UNC student body president, which is, let's face it, North Carolina's flagship university, the first public university in America. And that's just not, in 2021, that's just not a good conversation and dialogue to be using, I don't think, if we're going to get anywhere in this country and advance past race and advance past having the color of your skin determine anything. It should be diversity of abilities and skills and experiences is more important.
And merit.
Yeah, it's division politics. This is the whole concept of say anything, do anything, claim anything, and throw get a ton of attention for something like that, but not really think through what that means. I mean, that's just when you say that we're not diverse enough, and then you tell people not to attend the school. I just don't understand how that how that makes any sense.
Yeah, heads I win, tails you lose. If you come here, it's because you're a token. If you don't come here, it's because they're racist. I mean, how can either way, they're trying to vilify the institution.
Yeah, and I think also, this seems to benefit only those that are kind of screaming these sorts of statements because they get their 15 minutes of fame. And that, I think that Nicole Hannah-Jones benefited tremendously from these sorts of statements. She went on to receive a $25 million endowment and got a salary package, I've heard, that's double what she was going to get at Carolina, all the while saying the university somehow injured her by discriminating against her. And again, I have no reason to believe that's true. You had 7 of the existing board members on the board when this was decided. And it was a previous board I wasn't on at that time. No one's claiming there was discrimination. No one's digging into that at the university level and pointing to anything that calls for that. All that they did was say, she hasn't taught before, and we'd like to make sure that she's going to be able to teach a class, and she's on a tenure path instead of being automatically granted a lifelong job, which tenure's on my list as well in terms of topics to really dig into.
I can't wait to hear about it.
I oppose lifelong appointments really for anybody.
Thank you.
We got the Pope out there, dictators, royalty, and federal judges and professors with lifetime appointments, and I'm not a big fan of any of those.
You're right. Hey, Marty, we're up against a break. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, and it sounds like you're in it for the long haul. Please do that because we need men and women like you who are willing to stand up, as I said at the beginning, for common sense.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what this is, fair, equitable common sense. Marty Kotis, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
All right. Stay with us. Benny and I'll be right back.
And we're on location at one of my favorite places in the whole planet because this is some of the best food you're ever going to eat in your life. We are at Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. It's one of my hangouts. It's one of the places that I love. I got my friend Pietro Pasalacqua. How'd I do?
You did great.
Let's talk about the food. What makes this place? I know it's special Italian from authentic Italians, but tell us why it's so special.
Because everything we do, it's really what we came up on the menu from what we did at home, from my grandparents, my parents. So it's exactly what we eat at home, and that's what the way we cook. That's why it's special.
And the atmosphere in this place is special also. From the bar to the 2 dining areas, you got 2 different dining areas, and now the weather's nice, so there's going to be a lot of folks that want to eat outside.
Yeah, we have 2 rooms. One room is designed a little different. We're also working on the patio to make it more attractive and more useful in the summer with a cocktail service. And we're always improving our services.
And, of course, my friends here, my buddy, Chef Massimo, who I love, and Sal and Pietro, you guys do a great job here. Not just Italian, but I had a great pork chop here the other night. You got great steaks, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're also adding filet mignon in the future on our menu. And Massimo is coming out with a really good side dishes for it. And so we're really excited to come out with new meats and fish dishes.
All right, Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. Same people that give you Marabellas and the great pizza that you get at Marabellas, but this is fine dining at Nino's. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing. Come see them at Nino's on Red Banks Road. And Pietro, what is that famous saying about Nino's?
The food that you enjoy with people that you love.
Hi, I'm Richard Langley, and after helping my grandmother with an iPad she received as a gift, I realized how many other older adults may also have challenges with their own technology.
Happy Grandma specializes in helping with any tech issue you may be experiencing. Whether it's setting up a new computer or TV, having issues with the printer or Wi-Fi, or showing you how to use your tech, we want to help you. To make it easier, we come directly to you with a smile on our face. face.
When tech gets tough.
When tech gets tough.
When tech gets tough.
When tech gets tough, get happy.
Happy Grandma Senior Tech Support.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
If you're vaccinated,
you must wear a mask.
Why?
We need to get people vaccinated.
Telling people who are vaccinated to wear a mask doesn't get more people vaccinated.
Confusing the kids and the parents even more. Get the facts.
Get the correct information.
Eastern Carolina's news source is News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. Taking a quick look at your weather forecast tonight. Cloudy, low around 46. Tomorrow looks great. High of 74 with lots of sunshine. Tomorrow night's low is 48. Thursday, Veterans Day, partly sunny, a high near 75. Some rain showers come in Thursday night. Chance of rain is about 60% with a low Thursday night around 62. So warmer but rainy. Weather brought to you by our friends at the Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Voted best golf course in Greenville 2 years in a row. Ironwood Golf and Country Club boasts an 18-hole Lee Trevino design course, full-service dining and outdoor pool, tennis, and more. Our newly renovated 15,000-square-foot clubhouse is the perfect place to make new traditions with your family. Right now, give them a call at 252-752-4653, and they'd love to host your Christmas party. They can set you up and give you all the details, and whether it's just for a handful of people or the whole business wants to come in, they'll take care of you. Also, think of Ironwood, and for Christmas gifts, gift certificates for rounds of golf and golf lessons. How about that? They've got all kinds of golf apparel and golf equipment as well. So the Green Bay Packers' Aaron Rodgers is getting canceled and shamed over his comments. And, it's interesting. He is getting a harder time on social media and the mainstream media and the liberal media. He's getting a harder time than Henry Ruggs, who was that drunk driving car accident out in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was flipping stations. This station has a sports talk radio station on another channel, and I was flipping, and I heard this guy just giving Aaron Rodgers the business, and I'm thinking to myself, you had a guy that was drunk running 156 miles an hour, and you killed someone. You took a life.
Right. Yeah.
And that your focus is Aaron Rodgers
not getting the vaccination.
Not getting the vaccination. I mean, it's just amazing to me.
Kudos to State Farm. They have not. There was a rumor out that they were going to can him. They have not. Although I think they were running less Aaron Rodgers State Farm ads last Sunday during the ball games. But apparently State Farm is staying with their guy, saying that he's been a great ambassador for the company, and we'll. You know what? We're for the vaccine, but we support everybody's opinion.
Yeah, I saw someone post on social media today can you tell me where I can buy some State Farm stock? so I think there's a lot of people that support State Farm in their decision.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are just totally frustrated with hypocrisy, and let the guy be. So when it comes to abortion, it's all about my body, my choice. But when it comes to the vaccination, if you don't get vaccinated, then we're going to jump all over you. By the way, did you hear Gavin Newsom, the governor of California? He went back on October the 27th and got a booster shot. He got the Moderna COVID vaccine booster shot on October the 27th. And he's been out of sight since then. And now a source close to the governor, who does not want to be identified, has said he has come down with symptoms that they think it's Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a neurological disorder in which the body's immune system mistakenly attacks part of its peripheral nervous system, the network of nerves located outside the brain and spinal cord. It can range from a very mild case with brief weakness to paralysis, leaving the person unable to breathe independently. And there have been a number of individuals. The latest data from the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System shows that between December 14th, 2020 and October 29th, 2021, there were 705 reports of Guillain-Barré syndrome, and 41 attributed to Pfizer, 31 to Moderna, and 28 to J&J. Again, he has disappeared from the papers. Interestingly, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. heads up the Children's Health Defense Organization, and he is very much, surprisingly, he is very much in favor of everybody having their own choice when it comes to the vaccine. He says he prays for the Newsom family and wishes him a quick recovery. He added, however, if it's true the governor has suffered debilitating neurological injuries following the vaccination, it raises grave ethical questions about his seemingly dishonest efforts to conceal his injuries while implementing aggressive policies to force children and working people in California to endure similar risks. And by the way, Gavin Newsom was one of the first governors to say, hey, the kids, you got to get vaccinated.
Well, Gavin Newsom's office is saying that he skipped out of the climate change conference to be a pirate for trick-or-treating. So, I mean, seriously, that's what they're saying. So, I'm sure Californians would agree he's been a pirate with their life, their life for the last year and a half.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your trade is in high demand. That means your trading value has never been hotter. Get to Greenville Toyota now. We'll pay more for your trade than ever before. Get cash on the spot, even if you don't buy from us. At Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
My name is Dr. Neeti Armistead, Chief Medical Officer for Vidant Health. The following simple steps will help keep you and your community safe. Stay home as much as possible, wear a mask when out in public, avoid large gatherings, practice social distancing, and wash hands often. It's also important not to delay needed care. Vidant has taken important steps to provide you and your family with a safe environment. Learn more about COVID-19 and Vidant's response. Call 252-847-8000 or visit vidanthealth.com/COVID-19.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Back to News and Views. Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
President Obama former President Obama was talking at the climate summit. Now, you got to remember, Obama was the same guy who claimed he'd be campaigning in all 57 states a few years ago. He made a couple of major errors in his speech over there in Scotland. He referred to Scotland as the Emerald Isle, which that would be Ireland. And he also said, well, since I'm here in the Emerald Isle, let me quote William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare is from England. So he had a twofer. I mean, doesn't he have somebody to help him write these? Where did he go to school?
Well, he just proves all along. I've always said he was an empty suit, and he was an empty suit that was great at a performance. I mean, I got to give him credit. He is a heck of a performer, and he can read a teleprompter, and he can read a script. That proves it right there.
Yeah,
I mean it's
Joe
laughable.
can't, but he could. Yeah, but beyond that, not so much. By the way. Two stories out in Fox News, and we just had a full hour, hadn't been able to get to them, but the John Durham investigation is basically pointed to the fact that Jake Sullivan, who is in the Biden White House, he's the national security? He's foreign policy. Well, he was a foreign policy advisor to Hillary Clinton. He is pretty much now in the crosshairs of this John Durham investigation, and he is President Biden's White House National Security Advisor. I was right the first time. It's going to be interesting to see how that turns out and what comes of that. But also, one of her closest advisors, Chuck Dolan, is very involved in this. Bottom line is Hillary Clinton is up to this and up to her neck in this. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Hopefully, they'll be taken out.
Look out, turning evidence.
Hey, we got to run. We'll do it again tomorrow at 5. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.
We're on location at Fabric and Home Furnishings, and I'm back with my friend Lisa Pendry. And Lisa's been telling me about all the great renovations that have been going on here in the store, and I've been looking around, and it looks fantastic. Tell us what you've done here.
Well, we've knocked some walls down, we've painted, we've added some new vendors, lots of new exciting things going on. So we're making room for everybody to get what they need to transform their homes.
Looks fantastic in here. Last time we talked, you were saying that you were able to deliver a lot faster than most other furniture stores. Is that still the case?
It is. It's changed a little bit, but we're still looking at around 8 to 10 week delivery, and we do sell our floor samples right off the floor.
All right, we always say that Fabric and Home Furnishings is more than just a fabric store, so tell us what the more is all about. What when people come in, what should they expect?
Well, we love to get to know our customers. I have the best crew I've ever had, and everybody on my team is an interior designer. So we offer in-home design service, which we always have, but now they can each come out to your home after they work with you in here, figure out what's going on in your residence or your commercial property to pull it together and help you make everything beautiful.
You got great folks here.
I do.
I can tell you, I haven't gotten to know them. It's like a family when you come in here, and everybody gets along well, and you can tell that these guys and gals really know what they're talking about when it coworks to interior design.
They do, and that's really what makes us different. We offer complete in-home design service. We don't charge a by-the-hour fee. It's a flat one-time fee. We work with you in here, in your home, in your business, and help pull everything together.
All right, it's more than just a fabric store. Fabric and Home Furnishings in Arlington Village. Come see this lady. She's fantastic. Fabric and Home Furnishings. Come see the renovations here in Arlington Village. And thank you for the visit today.
Thank you, Henry.
All right, you got to come see